What is up, down, and sideways? Yeah, beautiful individuals. It's League Unlock. It's right now. I am Eric, here with Mark, and it's more action. LPL, LCK, still ongoing as we wait for the LCS and LEC to officially kick off. I know the LCS technically has kicked off, but I'm still waiting for the actual spring split before I can really, cut the ribbon on the season.
Hey, this is the appetizer for your weekend. Really, it looks like we're gearing up towards for our big League of Legends action. You get the LCS, you get the LEC. Hey, before that though, take care of your salad. Make sure to eat and watch the LCK and LPL matches kicking off early in the week.
Yeah, I don't know if salad is either of these places with either of these leagues. What we're seeing, it was a tough day for the LCK just to watch, but we're gonna start in the LPL with the big upset of the day. Not an upset in our eyes, because obviously Mark and I are the biggest Rare Atom fans that you will ever find, and they showed up. Jesse Pinkman said it best. Yay, science. We got the Rare Atom 2-0 upset over Suning. Didn't see this one coming, but the LPL has been insane so far in spring, so maybe I did.
Yeah, did not. I don't think anyone, even ourselves, having this prediction coming through. Wow, what an upset. This is very early, obviously, and given what you can expect from the two teams, I'm not reading anything into this, given that we've also seen, enough tuning that this is not what you're expecting as far as their level of performance. But this is absolutely a clear indication of what happens when this Suning team gets a little bit too confident in themselves and says, preparation for this matchup, taking them seriously, counting on them being able to turn these against us. We're not going to worry about that. Hey, Rare Adam said, man, we're an LPL team. I don't care if you don't like our name, you don't like our logo. We're a legit LPL team, and we're going to step up to the plate when necessary. And they did this series.
And I think we did get a little lost in the meme that is the name Rare Atom. It's Vici from last year. And remember, Vici was one game away from playoffs in both spring and summer. So they are a legit competitive squad. And for today, it was macro. It was the movements around the map that was on point for them. Game one, how often do you see 9 kills in an LPL game at 26 minutes? They end up just sneaking a Baron. They only gave up 4 turrets in both games combined. To a squad like Suning, that's impressive stuff.
Right, and that's where we're talking about it being, okay, Suning is dropping the ball, but absolutely, there's got to be someone there to catch it, and you got to be prepared to do something once you catch what they're throwing away. Rare Atom was. You said it. They went, around the map, making sure they're securing their objectives that they needed, and really not allowing Suning any room to breathe around the rift and what they were able to do. This was as clean as 2-0s really get for Rare Atom.
And against a competitive team like Suning, yeah, it's about as clean as any 2-0 is going to be for them. It ended up being a very back and forth, 7 dragons total in that second game. But I mean, Ikes in this series, you could say, definitely outperformed S&M, which is a bit of a surprise. Cube was popping off in the top side against Bin, what has been the strong points of Suning, for the last split and a half now. We're talking about them being legit contenders in the LPL and internationally, obviously. But really all this does is speak to how good the LPL is, that you do have these mid-tier teams that can not only compete, but get these upset wins. We've seen it countless times already, and we're still early in the spring split, which is why, whenever you do these global power rankings or anything beyond the LPL, you have to take into account just how competitive this region is, and it has 7 more teams than the other leagues.
It's different, right? You're talking about the LCS, you're looking for what's the comparable, who's going to really test us in that middle tier. You're not getting Rare Atom. As much as we've memed on the Rare Atom, I think, as you said, important to remember, playoff squad. That's a good reminder for everybody that this was a team really close to the playoffs as Vici. And this is a squad that, again, will push for that level, push these teams that are, above them in the standings, above them in what you would expect, that if they're not prepared for the day, if they're not stepping up with the best they have, this is a quick reminder that, look, it's the LPL, guys. You're not playing in the LCS. You can't take this day off. We're here to make sure that pushing the pace, the consistency of the play. And they pushed it today and pushed all the way for their victory.
Yeah, and maybe they could be a dark horse for playoffs. I mean, there's a lot of teams you could be talking about in that category, but a good day for them. Suning drops to 1-2 on the season, joining their fellow semifinalists from World's Top Esports with that record, and avoiding going 1-3 was Invictus Gaming today. They get back to 500. The upset was there for Rare Atom. Wasn't an upset for eStar here today, even though they had the better record coming into this set. It was, I mean, this is just going to be an ongoing theme with IG in 2021, isn't it? They're going to look terrible, and then all of a sudden they're going to flip the coin again heading into another series and look fantastic.
Have you seen anybody ever play top lane almost as responsibly as the Shy did in this series? Which is bonkers to say, because it's the Shy. What have we been talking about the last year and a half, asking for some level of responsibility, some respect to his opponents and what he's playing? And you saw it in this matchup against eStar. And what do you see? The level of stability that was there, the level of skill from the rest of this IG roster is clearly able to take advantages in the game and push all the way to victory.
Yeah, and I mean, the rest of the squad, Wink, it seems to be, when he's playing really well, is when we see this better version of IG. Rookie, as we always talk about, is the guy who's pretty much the same in a win or a loss. Maybe he pops off a little more in some of these victories, but it was Jun who had another fantastic series, the rookie jungler for him. A couple of Pantheon games, and he had 16 kills across those two games on that pick. And by the way, after this series, 15-3 is Pantheon in the LPL.
Yeah,
15-3.
And definitely, I think it's a time we maybe hit him with a little bit of that nerve hammer, talking about the Pantheon. Oh boy. But when you do mention Zun and what he's able to do for this IG's roster, and what dimension he brings when you look at the team, it really is an X factor when you're looking at what Rookie brings to the table and how high level of play that you do get from him, win or lose. You talked about Wink down on the bot side, and I think that overall he's an upgrade over Puff, but there still is a little bit of the consistency issues that you'd like to see. The Shy is the Shy, as we've talked many times about, but Jun really does provide that X factor, that level of play where he can pop up. He can have these games where he's taking away so much from the enemy team that's it's impossible, puts them in a position that's impossible to come back from. I think he is someone to keep an eye on for this IG roster, that there's so much talent, obviously, and star power on, that he is someone that can develop into such a linchpin and key factor for them in their victories.
Yeah, and we're already talking about him putting up these solid performances against other stellar junglers in the LPL, and we're only a few weeks into his career within the LPL. We mentioned Wink, 7-0-10 across the two games, absolutely destroyed the bot lane of eStar. Game 2, they had almost a 9K gold lead at 15 minutes. At 15 minutes, they're almost up 10K, man.
Hey, that is the type of stuff that is gross, because look, we've seen those type of gold leads be thrown out and end up in the trash bin with a loss for some teams. You're talking about putting that much gold, that much ahead on these players on IG. Hey, you're getting across that finish line with the victory in hand.
Yeah, and that's exactly what they did. The problem with IG is, and we've seen this before, we've seen them have solid regular seasons last year, but I don't have faith in a team that's going to be so, you don't know what you're going to get, let alone series from series. We saw it in the World Elite one. It's game to game. And when that happens in these series, regardless of how high your ceiling is, I don't have the confidence when playoffs do start rolling around, if they keep putting performances up like this that are so wishy-washy.
Well, that's why I'm talking about Jun being the guy that you want to see evolve into that X factor, right? Be that difference maker for this IG team, because otherwise we're left with this squad that is in the position that you're talking about, that is kind of in the limbo of looking like an elite squad, and then all of a sudden the next week getting blown out of the water. And that is what we've been dealing with, really, with this IG roster the last year and a half. But having a player like Jun in that jungle position can absolutely provide you that avenue to get to a different level of play, a different level of stability in your expectations. And I think that is the key for IG this year.
Yeah, and the Shy's consistency is also going to be key for them.
It always is.
I've never seen him play so much Gnar. which is going to be an ongoing theme on this episode. It's just Gnar performances.
LPL Gnar versus the rest of the world Gnar.
Yeah, LPL Gnar's looking good. LCK Gnar looking a little bit more like NA Gnar, which is the comparisons that you don't want to see. But IG gets back to 500, sitting pretty at 2-2, and we'll see if the Shy can be consistent on a champion that isn't a little Yordle who turns into a crazy dinosaur. Now we're over to the LCK, and this series, DRX versus Nongshim Red Force, this was a banger on the Rift, guys, as they're going to call it. I actually just want to go through each game because it was a fun time. Now, game one, it was back and forth, and then it basically ended with one single team fight that ended up being an ace. But the theme for the LCK today was Fiestas and like next level Fiestas. We're talking, these looked like LCS games, Mark. LCS.
Yeah, you're not even saying that they're the LPL Fiestas, right? You know, the blood hunger games that we know and have seen in the LPL, because you're seeing a lot of times there. It makes sense. You're kind of seeing a lot of, you know, aggression and bloodthirst.
It's crazy mechanics. It's crazy plays.
What we saw today, you are right saying, man, that is an LCS level Fiesta that we were having in the LCK, and oh boy, was it a sight to see this morning.
Yeah, so the back and forth game one, we head into game two, which is where this series really takes a turn for fun, because we get to see the Udyr in the jungle for Piosik. The last time that champion was picked in the LCK, Mark, we're talking 2016 spring. It was your boy Bengi playing it.
Man, when I'm seeing that pick come through, the amount of time that has passed from that to be, you know, a reasonable pick where you're like, oh man, Udyr, oh, okay, like we got to deal with this, to being something you see in solo queue and you kind of go, Udyr? Who the hell is playing Udyr? What's going on here? That's not what was happening with Piosik's Udyr. My man was a threat on that Udyr.
Oh, he was absolutely unkillable and unescapable, and that's what a Fed Udyr's doing. If you've ever watched Trick Chu G's streams, that's how it goes. You're running around the map, you're basically a race car, and he was a legit problem for Nongshim in this game, and so is King in Zyrelia. That's the first of the Gnars that we're going to talk about. Rich's Gnar in game two was absolutely getting slam dunked by King In. He almost got a pentakill, ended up getting a quadra. He single-handedly had a 6,000 gold lead in the top lane. Just the top lane.
Rich is someone that we've been following his career, his introduction to League of Legends from his very storied career with Heroes of Storm. But to get to here, to this point, and see these performances from Gnar, that's not Rich, man. He is absolutely capable.
That's poor.
Of much better. Yeah, that's poor performance is what you're getting from Rich on that Gnar. That's one where, look, you can even look at the LCK's record with the Gnar, which is under 500, is what I'll let you know on a little secret.
Well below 500.
But secondly, you'd be looking at his performance on and how he's played it, and I think you'd be looking at a lot of people agree that usually, you know, Impact said it, that it's a lot of the veterans, a lot of the older players, older top laners really seem to have a handle on how to play Gnar, how to manage that rage bar, when to go in, when to, you know, how your team fights need to be. You didn't see any of that from Rich today in the top side, let alone, you know, what was going on in the 1v1 matchup. It wasn't very pretty either.
And I mean, if you're LS, all you'd say is Irelia is S tier and Gnar is don't play tier. So it's champ difference. Doesn't even matter who the players are at that point. This game also ended with a hilarious sequence of Piosik chasing Peanut on the Nidalee as the final kill to end the game. And he just keeps Wing over the wall.
You have to see that clip,
He's
guys.
just pressing W over the wall over and over, spamming emotes. And that's the emote game that the LCK, LPL, and even LEC have. That's something the LCS can never match, among with many other things.
Think back to the times when we didn't have the emotes and we kept saying,
dark
bring
days.
it, bring it on, bring that personality, bring that fun. Hey, we got it, boys. We're here now.
And we got a game 3 in this one, and thank goodness, because it was a great game of catch that we saw. This was one of the craziest. When I say back and forth, sometimes it's like great play from this team, great play from this team. This one, it was like, it was horrible play.
You can have it. No, you can have it. Oh, you can have it.
But you also had sprinkled in some Samira highlights, so, 2v4s, 1v4s, immediately becoming quadra kills. So you get to see Samira being completely busted. And Rich, he doesn't learn from game 2. He runs the Gnar back again, and there were so many.
It's worse.
It got worse. He finishes the game 1-7-7, and this looked like it was in the driver's seat for DRX. Then they throw away a bad fight, or multiple bad fights. Somehow Nongshim ends up with Elder and Baron. That's the GG. It's over, double buff. And then 2 guys just get caught in the bot lane. They don't do anything with the buffs and lose the game. Yikes. Yikes on the Rift,
man. Sloppy, unclean. Whatever words you want to use to describe this Fiesta that we saw in 3-game series. I'll tell you what, it doesn't leave me with very much confidence moving forward for either of these 2 squads and what they show. And even that, knowing that right now, this is the mid-tier. This is our middle of the table squads that will be fighting for that 5 and 6 spot for playoffs.
I'm pretty sure, based on last year, well, definitely because Damwon won, we're going to get 4 LCK teams going to Worlds this year. And look, right now, D1, Genji, Damwon, that's great. The 4th team that the LCK might be sending is going to be a little sketchy.
Yeah, because even if you're looking at a squad like Hanwha going, hey, you got Chovy, you got depth, but guys, the rest of the performance
and this is 2021 depth, guys. It's 2021 depth.
Unfortunately, not the depth that we're looking for in that middle of the pack in the LCK just quite yet.
But at least for DRX, they pick up a win. And listen, DRX now 2-1. This is already a team early on that we're talking about. All these rookies around Piosik. He's playing Udyr. He's playing this insanely aggressive Olaf. This is an exciting team, despite how uncoordinated at times this series looked. For this young squad to be playing and picking up 2 wins in their first 3 matches, it's exciting.
When we talked about DRX and you talked about Piosik, you thought to yourself, again, looking at this roster, it's too much. It's too much to ask for, the star power of him to carry them in some of these matches to really push you forward. You're going to have help. You're going to have someone else on this team step up. And whether it's going to be consistently that same person or rotating cast, whatever it's going to be. If DRX is going to have any meaningful success this year, it's going to be from that. And what did you see this game? Not only was obviously Piosik a major issue for the Nongshim side, Kingen, as you said, put together some very strong performances. And especially looking on the flip side, really beat down on Rich on that other side. Absolutely a big difference maker for this DRX team, and one that if you see these pieces come into form and come to play at that level against other squads higher up in the standings, you might be able to steal away 1 game in a series, steal away both, and take away the full match victory. These are the type of things that DRX are looking at and are certainly extremely valuable for a young squad like this.
And Piosik's stock is only going to rise even if DRX aren't able to, make playoffs this year. Him playing it out with this not hyped up roster and seeing how well he performs might be getting a call from one of the bigger teams in the LCK. Now, originally, you might have been talking about Nongshim maybe as just that final playoff spot because it's all about, it's about Afrika. It's about Sandbox. They should be climbing. Afrika always has expectations. And Mark, why do we keep doing this? Why do we keep giving Afrika expectations? There's no reason to do it. And why, oh why, is Dread still a starting jungler?
Hey, I don't have all the answers for you, my man. But I got an answer for you saying that if you thought the DRX Nongshim series was a fiesta, hey, let me welcome you on into the Live Sandbox.
This one,
Freak Circus.
This was the LCS game. Was this series even more so? Yeah, there were lots of throws in the other one, but we're talking fights. The camera, the observers can't even keep up because people are dying in every lane simultaneously. You got Summit getting 2 kills in a 1v2. Afrika, they looked lost, man. They were just a step behind Sandbox in most of these games. Ends up being a 2-0 for the Sandbox boys, but Afrika, they were all over the place. Macro out of sorts. Even Keen, who's supposed to be the shining star of this squad, Summit outplayed him pretty heavily in both these games.
It felt like there was a knob on the quality of this game, right? And it felt like it was turned, okay, so we got T1 Damwon, and then, let's go to G2 Fnatic, and let's go. TSM Immortals, and then they went, oh.
They turned it up to -11.
Yeah, they went away from that with just enough into the flip side of the fun zone. Yeah, this series does, as much as we meme about the Fiesta and stuff like that, there still are expectations on a team like a Freak of Freaks to find something, to get something done, to have something meaningful happen this year as far as making it into playoffs and putting up a fight in playoffs with this team. And right now, we're not seeing it. We're not seeing it from the individual players, and that's ranging from, the star and Keen all the way to someone like Fly. And then you're also looking at other things, with the organization as far as the coaching staff and the decisions with Dread and everything else. There's just so many questionable things happening with this roster that really, really are limiting what the results are and what the potential is. Because absolutely, should be playoffs or bust, and even higher than that. The level of play we saw today,
that ain't making playoffs, man. You could make playoffs in an 8-team field in the LCS.
In the LCS, yeah. Not in the LCK.
When 8 teams are making it. So Freaka, across the board, all 5 members got to step it up if they want to be taking one of those playoff spots. A couple teams that should probably be a lock for playoffs are T1 and Gen G. We got the match early Thursday. I want to ask Mark 2 big questions, of course. Who's playing for T1? And, based on that, who's winning the split or who's winning the series tomorrow?
I think we saw enough from Faker in the Damwon series that you got to be rolling with the experienced crew. You got to be rolling with your boy in the mid lane. I wouldn't be surprised. Again, I think no one should be surprised this year if you ever see any substitutions for any of the members of this T1 roster. I think that's been very clear from the coaching staff. I expect it to be Gumayashi again. I think that is
how can you not after his performances so far?
Until you see any signs of a bad performance, and even at that point, do you really think that that's a continuing trend or anything to worry about? Gumayashi and what we've seen from him, man, he's got a couple slip ups that he can afford to make, even with someone as talented as much as we love in Teddy behind him. But that just speaks to what Gumayashi has been able to do in his very limited time so far, and how confident, a lot of experts and coaching staffs are in what they see from him potentially. On the Gen G side, not a lot of questions, not a lot of things you need to change.
5.
Hey, you just need to go in with the right mental attitude. That's going to be the big one for me to examine as well, is the mental block, right? Against the T1 organization, against someone like Faker, the history there. You proved it last year, able to get these victories, able to be the better squad. Need to carry that momentum, that confidence into this series, because even if you have looked overall, I think better, and one of these squads, relatively unproven so far this year in the LCK, going to stack up against a T1 team that we think and have seen solid enough performances from.
And they should, a rare time, have the confidence coming into this match because of how it ended in 2020 with them beating them in that gauntlet for the final spot at Worlds. So it's a rare time where Gen G can feel good, even though it's a different looking T1 roster. I also think Elam will still get the start because, much like Gumayashi, he's done enough. He's looked good. He has warranted that starting spot for now, and until they slip up, you might as well let the kids keep on running. But that is all the time today for League Unlock. Eric and Mark here with you guys. We will break down the T1 Gen G series as it happens, but we'll catch you on the flippity flip.